probably at about a quorum. We'll probably have more people trickle in. So I'll do the initial introductions per usual. I am Mia Cash, Overpass's Talent Advocate Manager. Want to welcome you all to our new remote sales live, where Abraham Bermejo, one of Overpass's account managers, will be discussing how to qualify customers. As we mentioned in our publicity for this, we are giving $50 to the person who brings the most people, and how that will be determined is if you are someone who was referred to this webinar, you need to chat in to the hosts and panelists and say, I was referred by, and then whoever referred you, and whoever had the most referrals is going to get that $50 prize. So that's the first thing. If you have questions, we'll have a Q&A session at the end like we usually do. So you can put your questions either in the chat or in the Q&A button at the bottom, and we'll be sure to answer those. Lastly, this is a new thing that contractors brought up last time, is we would like to review a contractor profile. So if you would like your profile reviewed, simply chat in and we can take a look and pick the profile that we can go over today. And if yours isn't picked today, don't worry, we're going to be doing this going forward in our webinar. So be sure to come back if your profile wasn't picked, and make sure that your profile is in the ready to review stage or approved. If it isn't complete, then we can't, give you feedback on it just yet. So that's all I have to say. And then as a quick introduction, as I mentioned, we have our guest speaker today, Abraham Bermejo. He has been with Overpass for not too long, I think probably just a few months, but started as a contractor, and he'll be discussing how to qualify customers. But I will let him make a better introduction for himself. So I will pass it over to you. Thanks, Abraham.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much, Mia, for that kind introduction. As Mia mentioned, my name is Abraham, and I just wanted to get started here by giving you a little background on myself and how I started. I come from a corporate background. I worked at World Strides, a travel company for students and adults. They would sell individual travel programs to a wide variety of families. One of my high-end clients was actually Coldplay's kids. I was able to enroll them into a couple of educational programs. So that's one of my high-end clients that I like to show off about. Now, I started with Overpass as a contractor in February of this year, and I had never done other types of sales, but I knew I wanted to do different sales. I didn't just want to sell travel. I wanted to learn sales in all aspects of it, not just be good at one version of sales. So I started with my first contract as an appointment setter for a real estate company, and, got my feet wet. They were very happy with my work. As long as you have a good work ethic and are willing to be coached and are teachable, you can have a long career here with Overpass. So after my first contract was completed, I moved to another vertical. It was the auto industry. Completely new to me again as well, but I like the challenge. I wanted to try something new. Completed the contract, but because of everything going on with the world right now with COVID and the chip shortages, I'm not sure if everyone's aware of this, but there's chip shortages, so cars are not being able to be manufactured. So a lot of businesses are being affected by this. So my contract was completed. I got a good review, and from there, that's when Overpass reached out to me and offered me a position as a business development rep, which is what a lot of you are actually doing right now, business development or maybe sales. But a lot of the positions that we have on the platform are business development roles, sales development roles. And I'm here to let you guys all know that, if you put your head down and work hard, maybe Overpass will reach out to you one day. I remember Mia was actually the first person that reached out to me on LinkedIn. I just put open to work, and Mia did her homework and reached out to me. I went through the interview process, and within a month, I think within a week or something like that, I was hired. So from February to where I started to where I am now, I've completed my goals. I'm very happy to be here, to be presenting with you guys, and to show you that there is opportunity, there is possibility for you guys to grow and expand and make some real money wherever you are in the world. And I'm the proof in the pudding to show you where I was in February to where I am now. My life has changed upside down for the better. I'm here speaking to other contractors like yourself today I hope to motivate you to show you that this is real, that there's lots of possibilities out there. You just have to be willing to invest in yourself, which I definitely did. Bought a new computer, a desk, all that kind of stuff. That's one of the most important things I would suggest to all contractors is invest in yourself, because it does go a long way. Those tools are going to be tools that you're going to be using for the next 5 years at least, I would say. Maybe not 10, but you know, a good computer, a good desk will last you a good long time. So that was a little bit about myself, who I am and how I started. What I'm going to talk about today is how to qualify your customers to make sure that you're not wasting, one, your customer's time, and two, your time, because time is always money. And we want you to be investing your time in the right clients to make sure that they convert to sales. Now, let's get started here. Just give me one moment. So why is it so important to make sure that you're qualifying your prospects? Identifying quality prospects early allows you to close the deal quickly and efficiently. This means getting all the decision makers on the same call, getting all the people who have the decision-making power on that phone call to make sure that at the end of that demonstration, or at the end of that phone call, they're not going to let you know and be like, hey, I have to check with my boss. Because at that point, time kills all deals. And you're in the long run, you're not helping yourself by not putting all the right people on that phone call. Now, obviously, we have discovery phone calls where you're trying to figure out who you need to speak to, when you can speak to them, so that you can make those right judgment calls. Now, quality customers lead to better deals and a better return for your time. And what we're going to talk about today is actually going to be a structure that is going to help you in all aspects of sales. So in the auto industry, real estate, tax, whatever sales vertical you're in, this structure will help you qualify your customer base. So what we're going to talk about today is BANT. It's an acronym for budget, authority, need, and time. We're going to go over these individually and go over some brief examples just to show you how this structured criteria can help you in your sales process, in your discovery calls, in your follow-up phone calls. Throughout this whole process, doesn't matter what vertical you're in sales, this should be able to help you. This has been around for decades. This is something that you can YouTube and get a little more information on as well. This is something that is in sales that has been around for a long time now. Now, budget. Budget is one of the most important things that you can do to qualify your clients. I know that I've had conversations with clients. As soon as they tell me their budget, I know that they're not qualified. So you don't want to tell them immediately, hey, you're not qualified. You don't have the money for us. You know, you want to speak to them. You want to discover more about them and give them information and let them know, hey, maybe this isn't the right time for us to be moving forward with this, and let them know. Don't let them know that, hey, you can't afford us. Be polite, be as cordial as you can, because you never know, in 90 days, that client might be ready to scale up, or might be ready to buy your service or your product. So it's always good to leave a good impression, whether they have the budget or not. If they have the budget, great. It means you can move on to the next step. Now, does the customer even have the budget for your product or services? That's super important. Like I said, you need to make sure that they have a certain amount of money for whatever your service might be. And you can ask that very politely. You can just ask, do you have a budget for this type of project, service, campaign? And if they give you a little wishy-washy answer, that's fine. You can just always make sure that you try and bring the conversation back to finding out if they have a budget. If they're being a little hesitant in giving you that information, just let it go, move on to the next set of questions. But that's always a red flag. If they're not willing to discuss budget, I would bring it up again, just to make sure that you have all your ducks aligned. Because one, like I said, you don't want to waste your time or your client's time. So you have to make sure the client has the money set aside for your product or service before you even move on to the next step. Now, that was budget. Now, authority. Who are the decision makers? Who has the decision-making power? And make sure that all parties are involved. Now, the worst possible outcome is you're speaking to a sales director looking, let's say in my case, speaking to a sales director, and he You went through the process, gave him the demonstration, and in the end, he doesn't have the decision-making power. Now you're back to square one. You have to go do the presentation all over again, do the discovery call all over again with someone who pretty much is the one who signs off on this. To avoid all that, you need to ask these type of questions beforehand, so you're not just wasting your time. Because as I mentioned before, your time is just as valuable as the person you have on the phone. So don't ever let anyone make you feel that your position just is not important, because you're just as important as the account executive or the CEO. You're out there in the trenches making those calls, bringing in the sales for that company. Now, need. Is there a need for the prospect to even buy your product or services? That's something you should know before you even call them. The ICP is another acronym that we use here at Overpass. It's our ideal client profile. Now, for whatever vertical you're in sales, that's going to be different for each person. So if you're selling cars, you're going to look for maybe someone with a certain amount of salary for your specific car. Same with housing, whatever it may be. But you need to do your homework to make sure that they have a need, so that when you reach out to them, you can solve a pain point for them. You need to ask the questions to uncover those pain points to see if you can solve it for them. And if you can solve it for them, that's how you're able to make your money. That's how you're able to make your business. Solving pain points for other people, for other humans, for other businesses is how you're able to, network, grow your business, and find your niche, like we have at Overpass here, where there's a lot of other platforms like us, but there's no one that is Overpass. We are a niche platform that only deal with sales related reps. Unlike Upwork, they have sales reps, architects, they have a whole wide variety of things. Whereas Overpass, we just have one specific set of individuals that are sales related. So what you want to make sure is you're contacting the right clients, so you don't waste your time or their time, because you could go through the whole process of a week just to find out that they're not an ideal client. So before you get them on the phone, sometimes you need to get them on the phone to make sure that they're an ideal client. But sometimes you could do your homework on them by checking out LinkedIn, checking out their website, doing all that kind of due diligence work beforehand. So making sure that you uncover the pain points, because if you uncover a pain point, more often than not, you're going to be able to get some business out of that. And lastly, time. Time is the killer of all deals. Timing is super important. I'm sure all of you have been blown off at some point in a phone call, be like, hey, let's send me an email. Hey, yeah, sure, I'm interested. Let's follow up in 3 days. Hey, yeah, I'm interested. Let's follow up in the new year. I got that a lot right in December. Hey, I'm interested, but let's follow up in the new year. The more time that passes, the higher chance that your deal is dead in the water. So you want to make sure that if they said, yeah, I'll follow up with you in 3 days, that you call them back in 3 days and you hold them accountable for that decision that they gave you. So if they said, yes, I'm interested, but call me back in 3 days, you want to make them feel guilty. You want to call them back, be like, hey, Sally, I'm calling you back to let you know that, you said you were interested. I'm just doing my due diligence. I wanted to make sure that you're still interested and you still wanted to sign off on this. And the longer you procrastinate that, the less likelihood that you're going to be closing that deal. And one of the biggest secrets to being successful in sales is just to sell to people who are qualified to buy your product or services. Now, most salespeople make the mistake of trying to sell something to somebody that doesn't actually want what you have to offer. When this happens, sometimes you can put a lot of energy into trying to sell someone and kind of push them in the right direction, but in the end, they never end up buying because they were never qualified in the first place. To qualify your prospects and make sure whoever you're talking to can actually buy your product or services, that's what BANT was today, to show you a step-by-step process of how you can qualify your customers to make sure you're not wasting their time, because their time is just as valuable as yours. So make sure you're asking the right questions to uncover all these areas, because if you're missing any of these pieces, it's very difficult to know if a deal will actually end up closing. And lastly, we're going to exchange our time for a paycheck. So how to qualify can make the difference on what your time is worth to you and your family. And we can do this with BANT. This is something that's been around for decades, is a tried and true method in sales. So if this is something that you think you could use in your vertical, I recommend you try it out. It's super simple. The more questions you ask, the more answers you'll get, and you'll find your pain point and see if you'll be able to help the client out. And my last photo here of my presentation is just a photo of me in my home office that I built. My home office did not look like this when I first started. It was just me and the dining room table. I was able to buy my chair, my desk, my computer, and upgrade. And like I said, guys, invest in yourself, because taking this seriously can really change your life for the better. And I'm the proof in the pudding. And that's all I have to say today. This was my little presentation. I hope you guys learned something. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But I'd love to go over the profile and let you know what we're looking for. As an account executive, I can look over your profile and I can give you a suggestion on what we're looking for, what works when I see something that I don't like that I won't reach out to. So if anyone's interested in having me critique your profile today, I'll be kind, but that's what I'm here for today.
Perfect. Thank you so, so much for all those wonderful words of wisdom. We really appreciate it. So as Abraham said, we are going to move to the profile now, and then we're going to go ahead and answer the questions in the chat. I saw there were a couple, so we still have quite a few things to get through. So I saw that Cheryl wanted us to go through her profile. So I'm actually going to share my screen, and we can go ahead and go through her profile.
Okay.
All right. Can everyone see the profile okay? Abraham, can you see it okay on the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I don't think if I do it, you'll be able to hear the recording. So maybe, Abraham, we can focus today on the actual content of Cheryl's experiences, availability, that sort of thing, and make sure that that all works. So if we start here, first impressions, I guess, Abraham, of this kind of top profile pic, first impressions, what do we have to say?
First impressions, availability.
Mm.
Most of our clients are during business hours.
Okay.
Very rarely you will find a shift between 4 to 11 p.m., anything in those hours. So you have to remember that we're in a sales related world. So all sales is Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So those are the prime time hours. I'm not saying you can't find a contract in the afternoon, but putting your availability, I can tell you my availability was from 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I was very open-ended with my availability. So I know some people don't have that option, but that's just immediately without looking at anything else, I would have an issue just because of your availability.
Okay. All right, Cheryl, hope you're taking notes. So availability is a big thing. Try to stay more in those US hours, 8 to 6, 9 to 5, around there, if you're able to. What do we think of up here, profile picture and hourly rate, Abraham? What are your thoughts there?
I think the photo is great. Hourly is very fair. I don't have any reference to, I can't listen to the recording. Could you send me her email and I'll listen to the recording?
Yeah, let me Slack you her profile right now, and maybe you can listen to it.
That's the second most important, availability and your recording. Those are the two pieces of wisdom that I would pass to all the contractors is be as energetic as possible in your recording. A lot of the people don't even look at your experience sometimes. They'll hear your recording. And if your recording is disconnecting, you're mispronouncing words, you're not motivated, just with that, they're not even going to glance your profile. They're done. They're moving on to the next one. Yeah. I can tell you, I was given interviews just because of my recording. They liked my energy just from the recording. So that's another recommendation, super, super important, is that your recording has no echo. Try and use a headset if possible, or the least amount of echo possible. Super important. And availability during business hours, normal US business hours from 7 a.m. to, I'd say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is a good range to be at for US businesses, because that's where most of our clients are. We don't really have clients in Europe or anywhere else. Like, most of our clients are US based. So I know our contractors are not all US based, but if you guys want the opportunity, you need to be working in the US based hours.
Perfect. So why don't you take maybe like 20, 30 seconds to listen to the recording if you have it up, go on mute, and then you can come back with your recommendations, if any, for Cheryl, and we'll wait on you.
Hello. My name is Cheryl. I'm calling to see how I can help you improve the.
No, Cheryl was good. Clear, very good. Cheryl, your profile is good. Now let's look at the rest of it.
All right. Experience. All right.
Okay, so this is where you are lacking, Cheryl. I would add a little more information. Like personally, I think a couple sentences per. So I think they give you 3 slots, right? It's responsibilities, accomplishments, and then what was the last one?
It's quotas. So it's responsibilities, quotas, and accomplishments.
Personally, I don't think you need like filling up 3 of these, like 3 experiences is perfect. I don't think you need more than 3, just like let's say from 2019, 2020, 2021, keeping a track record of how you've progressed in your work career. Definitely using keywords like quotas made, appointments made, calls made, emails sent, sales made. These are all keywords that clients and people like me look for. You know, being a leader and all that kind of stuff, it's good to see, but the most important, I think, is numbers. So if you were able, let's say, for an example, for me, I close between 60 to 80 programs a month, which is in revenue, about $1 million a month, something like that, maybe less, a couple $100,000 a month, something like that. So if you have that kind of information, you can show off that stuff. Like I made my company millions of dollars. Show off, man. This is the platform to make yourself be a superstar. So use that kind of stuff. And if you have any awards, like if you were got any accomplishments, like you're a top salesman of the month, you received a bonus for something you did because of your work, those are good things to put under accomplishments. But I would say the most important is number. Talk turkey. Talk about your quotas kept or your phone calls, emails, sales, numbers. That's super important. That's something I look for because it gives me more credibility because okay, this person really, you know, they have experience. They're not just an appointment setter. So if you do have the experience, put that in there. But if you're just an appointment setter, there's no problem with that as well. Put down how many appointments you were able to make per week, per month, quotas kept, what those appointments led to. So if those out of 25 appointments that you made in the month, 5 of those appointments led to sales. So if you have that kind of information, make sure you're putting it on your profile because it's only going to make you look better. So your recording, availability, and quotas for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, and just for others who maybe haven't completed their profiles yet or are still working on them, just know that you will be talking to a member of my team, the talent advocate, and we go over these exact same things that the sales team is looking for, even before you're made live on the platform. So as you can see, Cheryl's still in ready for review. So that means she hasn't yet met with one of our TAs. So Cheryl, once you meet with one of us, we will go over those things that Abraham just discussed, the availability, making sure your quotas are really crisp and clean and evident. And other than that, just preparing you for, what the platform and what our clients expect. But yeah, I think the availability, like you mentioned, and then just adding as much detail as possible, especially your numbers and quota to your sales experience is probably the best way forward here. And we wish you best of luck as you complete the profile and be on the lookout for an email from someone from my team to set up a meeting with you to get you going in the process. So thank you so much for being willing to offer your profile here. And I'm going to quickly stop sharing. And actually, Cheryl, I'll let you speak if you have any other follow-up questions for me or for Abraham of your profile. So you can go ahead and go off mute and ask us any questions. And if you don't have any questions, then we can go on to our next section.
One other thing. Cheryl, are you there?
Yeah, I just can't hear her like hardly at all. Cheryl, can you try talking one more time? Oh, darn, we can't hear you. How about this? If you have a question, chat into the Zoom and we can answer your question via chat. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't hear you. But Abraham, what were you about to say?
One other recommendation I would put on there, I just noticed on your profile, Cheryl, make a LinkedIn account. Super important as well. it's like a second verification process. So an example would be, I don't personally always look at the LinkedIn, but I mean, for our clients, I know a lot of them, they do. So what you can do is I would make a LinkedIn profile, all of you. That's a recommendation, because that's also like a live resume, because you can update that just as much as you can update your Overpass profile. And I know that clients always do, they don't always, but they do also look at your LinkedIn. So that's also another form of credibility, and you can add more information, more details. And I would also recommend being active on LinkedIn is super helpful. Liking posts, liking commenting here and there and other. You never know when opportunity is going to pop. The only reason I'm here is because I made a LinkedIn profile and Mia reached out to me. That's the only reason why I'm here today.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, Cheryl, you're getting a lot of shout outs in the comments. Thank you again. And again, we'll be in touch. Did we want to do one more, Abraham? I think we had one more person who wanted to share. Yeah, I think we can do one more before we go to questions. I see that I believe it was Pearl who wanted her shared. So let me pull up her profile quickly and see if we can get started. One other note about the availability as we're pulling up Pearl's profile is the availability can sometimes be tricky because of the time zone. So you would need to put the times in your time zone and it'll automatically convert. So I'm sure, Cheryl, you may have put, like a 9 to 5 or something in your time zone in South Africa, but then that converted to Eastern time. So that's why we saw it as 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. So just keep that in mind. You'll have to put the times in your time zone, but then they'll automatically convert to, whatever time zone the client is in when they're looking at your profile. So keep that in mind. So Pearl, I'm seeing that your profile is not yet completed. So again, we are only looking at completed profiles at this time. So your profile is still in draft. So once it's ready to review, maybe next week we can take a look at yours. But thank you so much for offering it up. Okay, awesome. So we do have a few questions. Again, you can put your questions either in the chat or the Q&A, and we're actually going to go through those now. So the first question is from Aduvi. So he has a question about discussing the budget, Abraham. So he says, do you just ask the prospect, do you have the budget for this? Or do you just say, can you afford this? How do you bring up the budget conversation with the prospect?
That's a good question. I actually had something written down for that. So give me 1 second, because it is a tricky question, because if some people like to hold that number to the vest, they don't want to give that information out because they think that you're going to overcharge them. So if they give you a number of $5,000, let's say for an example, be like, oh, great, I'll sell them $5,000 when the product might only be worth 3 or 4. So that's why a lot of people don't like to give out that kind of information, because you're still selling. It's still a game of chess. So you still have so you have to, that's why you're a salesman. That's why you're in the BDR position, because you have to kind of get that information, but not so obviously. So what you could do is, what you could do is, for example, what I would say, well, on average, our clients, you would need a budget of, let's say, $2,000 a month. Is that something that you can handle? And they'll give you a yes or no answer. So that's still not them telling you how much money they have, but they are confirming that they do have the budget for what you're doing. So that's a good way to put it, where you're not being like, hey, how much money do you have? Because a lot of the time, yeah, you're right. They're not gonna give you a good answer like that. But if you're a little more, sneaky about it, subversive, yeah, you can get that information. But also, let's say if the budget question becomes an issue right off the top, move on to the next step. And then you just you bring it up again. I just be like, I want to make sure that we're not wasting each other's time. Normally, this is what our product costs. You always talk about price at the end anyways, and that's when you're going to find out about budget. But bringing it up front is just to make sure that you're letting them know that, I don't want to waste your time, don't waste my time. So, and that's why you want to bring up budget pretty quickly.
Perfect. Thank you. Super helpful. Another question from Aduvi, actually, regarding the authority question. So how do you ask the authority question? Do you say, are you the decision maker for this product? Or what are good ways to ask and understand who the decision maker is?
So a good example I like to use is, hey, Sally, is there anyone else we need to involve before we move forward with this deal? That way you're acknowledging that you spoke to Sally, you went through the whole process, but you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. You want to make sure, is there anyone else that I need to involve to get my answer? Because I don't, you don't want to go through this all over again just to find out in a week, hey, I need to talk to my boss. So you want to make sure you get that out in the first couple conversations, the first conversation. If you're getting to a demonstration, if you're in that field, you want to make sure that you get everyone on that call. So if it's the CEO, the COO, everyone that needs to be involved to sign off, you get them all, and you do not move forward until you have all the decision makers involved. Because at that point, if you have to waste your time again and go through the presentation again, time is money, so use your time efficiently.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. So again, if you have questions, pop them in the chat or in the Q&A. So I'll give people a few moments to write in. Okay. Actually, someone just wrote in, how do you, if you're speaking with someone, you realize quickly that they don't qualify, how do you like end the conversation nicely? And, oh, sounds like you're not a good fit. Like, what is the best way to go about that?
You could suggest them to go somewhere else. Obviously, that's not the ideal answer. You'd never want to pawn off someone to a competitor. That's not, an ideal answer. But in our case, if you don't have the budget, you just have to be honest and let them know, we're consultants. I'm going to give you my point of view in this. If they don't have the budget to build a remote sales team, then they're not going to have the budget to make payroll. And I'm not going to put them in a position where they're going to be tied down to us to be making these contract offers. So if they don't have the budget, you have to be blunt and honest with them. And I think honesty is the best policy. You let them know that this might not be a good fit right now, but let them know that you'll follow up with them in 90 days. That way you're still acknowledging that they could be a potential customer, but they're not a good fit right now. And let them know it's budget related. Be honest, because if they do have the budget and they're just lying, they're going to be like, no, I have the budget, and they'll right then and there they might buy your product. So making sure the budget is there is super important. I know if someone tells me that they have a $500 budget for the month and they're looking to build a remote sales team, immediately that's not a qualified customer. But I'm not going to just hang up the phone on him. I'm going to be like, hey man, at this point, you're not ready for this stage in your growth. I would suggest take a little time, build your lead source, whatever your vertical may be, but give them suggestions for alternatives. But be kind and follow up with them in 3 months, because you never know, they might be a client in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. This is so helpful. And we actually got a few more questions that came in. Kalisha asks, clients give a script. However, do they also provide a rebuttal script, or do we think of that on our own?
That depends on the clients, but yeah, every good sales manager is gonna do that kind of stuff with you. They'll role play with you. I know with us at Overpass, we role play a lot. We have to rebuttals. We have like, who are you? What is this? What's Overpass? This, that, and the other. So yes, I think personally, the first month of any contract, you're learning those rebuttals. You're learning the script. You're learning the process. But as any good salesman they're gonna make that script their own. They're gonna reword it. They're gonna make it their personality. And the same thing with the rebuttals. Maybe you'll find something that works, but yes, more often than not, you're gonna be provided with a script and some form of rebuttal list. But that I can't speak on the behalf of all the people we have on the contract. So that's something individually you need to check with your sales manager. But any good sales manager will have that kind of information available.
Awesome. All right. Next question is from Leslie. She asks, can't you go on LinkedIn to find the key person? I'm sorry, he asked, can't you go on LinkedIn to find the key person, the key decision maker? Is that an option?
If you have their name, yeah. But if you have their name, you can find anyone on LinkedIn. But just finding them on LinkedIn doesn't mean anything. You need to connect. You can't just send them a generic email. Yeah, I always recommend as a business development rep is a personal email goes a much longer way rather than sending something templated. So you could write, when I say use LinkedIn, LinkedIn is free advertising. It's free marketing. It's like Facebook, but without all the bad stuff of Facebook. I think LinkedIn is amazing. I don't use any other social media other than LinkedIn, and I use it just for networking purposes. And like I said, I wouldn't have been here if I didn't make a LinkedIn profile and Mia found me. So that's just my little piece of advice. LinkedIn is super important, and it's only going to be a bigger deal in 2022.
Awesome. As people think of other questions, so those going back to the $50 giveaway, so those who said they were referred by Samuel Jean, you all have the same name, Samuel Jean. So just to double check the registration information, can you all give me the email you registered with so I can just make sure that everything matches? Because as of right now, it's all the same name. So I want to make sure that we can track everything. So those who said they were referred by Samuel Jean, please give me your email that you registered with so I can double check. Just a quick note there. Okay. Oh, yes. So Carrie made the point that some LinkedIn profiles aren't updated and it can show employees that are no longer with the company. So right, as Abraham said, you're the one who has to connect, do your research, be personal. This isn't going to be some mass email or message blast, but definitely something that needs crafting and work.
Another recommendation I would say on LinkedIn is what's helped my career tremendously is follow other people in the same field as you. I follow salesmen from all over the world, Pakistan, India. It doesn't matter. Sales is the same generic language. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. Sales is sales. Now, obviously, you might have to speak a different language to sell that product, but it's the same methodical type of it's the same. It's like programming. It's the same thing, and programming is the same in China as it is the same in Canada, as the same as in Mexico. So I recommend, if you make a LinkedIn profile, start following other SDRs, other BDRs, other account executives, because they have amazing advice. They have advice that I've used in my day-to-day that has gotten me deals. My first deal at Overpass was what was it? Someone said on a video, they said, just say happy Friday. How's your Friday going? Great icebreaker. But it only works on Fridays. So luckily on Friday, I said, hey, how's your Friday going? And that broke the ice. I got a conversation out of it, led to a demonstration, led to a demo, closed the deal before the end of the year. All of that from how's your Friday going? So that was a piece of advice that I found from LinkedIn. So I always recommend, that's why I'm a huge supporter of LinkedIn, and going on YouTube as well and watching other salespeople do cold calling. That's super helpful. So those are the little tips and tricks that have kind of helped me throughout this year, because I had to fake it a lot. I had to fake it before I made it. So that's something you guys might have to do at some point, but you got to do it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I will give everyone, we may end early today, but I will give everyone just the last few moments to write down any other last questions. Oh, great, Cheryl. Glad that was helpful. Any other last questions you may have? Again, this is the time, as we emphasize, to ask anything. These are the people who are looking for contractors for clients. So these are the people you need to ask questions for to figure out where you can get your next role, how to get it, and just how to become a better salesperson as well. So definitely take advantage of this and make sure that you're getting all your questions answered now, because this is a great time to do so.
I think that's it, unless anyone else.
I think that's it. Okay, great. Well, again, everyone, thank you so much for your participation today. I know it's the holidays and New Year's. We really love that you're able to participate. Oh, Courtney has a question. Yes, Courtney. And I'm seeing the Samuel Jeans are sending over their email, so thank you very much. Yes, Courtney, what's your question? Go ahead and type it in and we can answer it. In the meantime, I'll explain kind of what to expect after this while Courtney's writing in her question. So Basically, after this, everyone will receive an email with the full recording of this webinar, as well as a PDF of the materials that Abraham shared today, his PowerPoint. And these are also available in our Facebook group. So if anyone has not yet joined the Facebook group, I will put the link to that in our chat right now. But we recommend you join the Facebook group, get updates on what's going on and everything. And you can also have access to not only this webinar, but also all of our previous webinars. So be on the lookout for that. We will be back next week with Dennis. Not sure yet what our topic will be, but of course we will let you all know. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out Facebook on our Overpass website or directly to me. And I will make sure to get back to you as quickly as possible. So that is about it.
One second, I think we got one. So basically you're saying LinkedIn is used as a guide, but when it comes to sales, meeting you will assist those who would like to get the client? I didn't understand.
Yeah, Courtney, I'm going to let you talk so you can kind of better explain your question. Give me 1 second. Okay, Courtney, you're allowed to talk, so you can go off mute and go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, guys. So I kind of reached the meeting late. So I heard you guys mentioning about LinkedIn and about, as a salesperson, we normally tend to switch scripts and all that to, best suit our needs and all that. So I was a bit lost in terms of, what all you guys were saying. But you mentioned that you were going to send us an email with all the information in the previous meeting. So I guess I will just listen to it.
Well, what I was saying about LinkedIn was it's a good tool it's like a resume that you have online, because not everyone has. The only people that have access to your Overpass profile are the people on the platform. Whereas if you have LinkedIn, you're accessible to the whole world and you can learn from the whole world. What I was suggesting was using LinkedIn to learn from other colleagues, learn from people like me. I post on LinkedIn pretty regularly. I like to share thoughts and ideas, and you can be coached. You can learn from other people. You're going to make mistakes. I know I've made tons of mistakes, but failure is only a teacher. That's the way I look at it. I look at it as, okay, this is how I failed this time. I won't make that same mistake again.
Yeah, I do some courses on LinkedIn. So it helps me a lot. And this app, you guys are talking about an app as well that you guys have. So I'm kind of lost. So I'm just gonna listen into the meeting, and if I have any questions, I'm just
gonna watch the recording. I think Mia, it was recorded, so you'll be able to catch up and get the whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we'll make sure to send it out this week, Courtney. So no worries there. Also recommend, I believe your profile is on idle right now. So definitely make sure to put your status on ready to work, because that is what our sales executives are looking for. They're looking for contractors ready to work or considering opportunities. If you're idle, you're not going to get looked at. So make sure that your status is updated there.
Okay, no problem.
All right, perfect. Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, I think we'll wrap up for today. Samuel, I do agree it is a little suspicious that all of the people wrote in using your name. So we're gonna have to do some more digging there, but if that doesn't play out for your emails, then the person who has the next biggest will get that prize. So Samuel, will be in touch if that's the case, and send that $50 to the next person. I see Nancy Tiller referred some people, as well as a few others. So thank you again for doing that. That is all I have. Abraham, I don't know if you had any other last thoughts, but I think we're all done for today.
I wish you guys all luck. I was in all your positions in February. I wish you guys all the best. I'm one of you. Just so I was, I'm a success story here, and I'm really hopeful that you guys can be put in a position like this to change your lives, because we really do change people's lives. We help customers and we help contractors on both sides from all over the world, and that's a really a nice feeling to do that for as your day job.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Someone wants to email you, Abraham. So I'll connect
Sure.
with you after the call. No problem. And hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their new year. Stay safe out there.
Happy holidays, guys.
Holidays. Bye-bye.
Bye.